Welcome to Around Town, featuring what's happening here in the greater Concord area. I'm your host, Dick Patten. It's a pleasure to welcome you as we get ready to say goodbye to the month of August, thank goodness. Well, I don't know about anybody else, but these 31-day months, July, August, January, and March, the months of the year I can't stand.
Really?
Well, because you figure like in January, it seems forever from January 1st
Yeah.
to the 31st.
Yeah.
Seems like 2 months in there.
It is a long stretch.
March is another month that either you get early spring or leftover winter.
Right. Right.
You know, it's like, my gosh, does this ever go?
Yeah.
And July and August, from the 4th of July to the 31st, yes, my birthday's in between, but still, it's like almost 2 months in there.
Yeah.
August, same thing.
Yeah. It's a long month.
Even as a kid, I can remember, August being we'd hear about the dog days of summer or something
Right.
or whatever, and
Yeah.
whatever that meant.
Yeah.
But it was a long time.
It is a long stretch.
Yeah, we'd go out back to school shopping, but it's amazing the stuff that we see out there now.
Right.
Well, anyway, I am very pleased to have Colonel Jordan here today because I had a show scheduled this afternoon with the school district as we get ready for schools to open up, but I had a message this morning they couldn't come. So I made a phone call, and the Colonel is here, thank goodness to him, so I owe him a big one this time for coming in. But you know what, actually I've been going to get you in here because there's a lot going on in Fish and Game right now.
We're very busy. Yes, this is there's no slow time now, Dick. We go pretty steady all year round, but this is definitely our busier time because the hunting seasons are coming here.
Oh, the
another
bears!
week.
I mean, the bear has
Bears.
been taking a lot of news.
A lot of search and rescue business on the weekends. That's ever increasing every year.
Yeah.
A lot of ATV and all-terrain vehicle use up north. That's just exploded up there.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
and that requires a lot of attention so that you can keep kind of law and order and people don't get injured on it. So it's been really, when you only have 43 guys covering the entire state, it's busy. It's very busy.
But I was watching the news the other day about the bears down in Manchester. They
Yes.
had one night. There was one down in the tree
Yeah.
on one of the streets down there. And why you wouldn't picture bears or even moose being in Manchester?
You know, it's unique because
Natural.
what'll happen is they've become urbanized because we keep encroaching, and quite frankly, they were here before us, but we keep encroaching on their in their territory. So they have learned pretty well. They've adapted pretty well to live with us.
Yeah.
And bear, the one unfortunate thing about bear is when they're scared or when they feel alarm, they'll climb a tree, and they will stay in that tree until they feel it's safe. And so if you
Really?
could get them up a tree, have everybody go away and leave him alone and wait for darkness to fall, he would climb out of that tree and get out of there because he wants to get out. And we prefer that because that gets a bear out of a city without getting him injured, without getting anybody else injured. So a lot of times we try to dispatch an officer or a biologist to sit under that tree to keep people away. And when he's comfortable and it's quiet and he feels it's safe or she feels it's safe, they'll climb down and go away. When we have to dart them to tranquilize them, to try and get them out of there, you run all kinds of risks. And a lot of times that can be fatal or injure the bear, so we don't like to do that unless we have to. We'd rather wait him out and let him come down on his own. But they'll go right into Manchester. I'm sure the smell of food must be unbelievable to them, the scents. So they go in there to hit bird feeders and rubbish, and I'm sure they try to sneak in and sneak out, but sometimes they're in there too long, the sun comes up and they get caught, or someone's out late and they scare them, and then they go up a tree and they end up on the local news channel. So,
But what gets me though is that how in the world, I mean, with all the people say in Manchester, not to say Concord or anywhere else, but
sure.
how in the world could they sneak in? Not anybody not see
Yeah,
them anyway with all the traffic.
They're pretty sneaky. They come down along. I've had moose in the Verizon Wireless Center. They come down along the river, the Merrimack River bank. They can
Really?
walk over that bank and then just kind of pop up whenever they feel like it. And bear are a lot more. They're not what people imagine. They if you ever saw one in the woods, they move along very silently. They're pretty sneaky, and they have very poor eyesight, but they have an incredible sense of smell, and they have very good ears. They can hear really well.
But aren't they dangerous over?
Well, they can be. Any animal is dangerous if they get to a point where they're cornered or they feel threatened by someone. You know, people like to go up and see them because they are unique. It's a great opportunity, but you can't lose sight of the fact that's a wild animal and they don't understand.
Yeah.
And so they will. What scares me about a black bear is they will do things defensively, not so much to attack people, but they will do things that they feel they need to do to defend themselves, like swat at you to take off. In a different direction. Those are the kind of things that concern me because they can do a lot of damage. They're a very powerful animal. So as long as people give them space, let them know they're there, and give them an opportunity to change directions or change their habit, we never have an encounter. You know,
wasn't there? Well, where was it? I don't think it was New Hampshire. Now I'm sitting here thinking, but wasn't it on the news recently that a bear somehow got into a car?
We've had bear breaking into. We had a bear in Conway this past. I believe it was in Conway, this past summer, early spring actually, early summer, late spring. Excuse me, it's late spring, early summer. That was hitting cars at the trailheads because he was finding food in there. And the unfortunate thing about a bear is once he understands that there's a food source. If I break a window and get into a car, or if I crawl up into this vehicle, there's a food source, and he'll hit everyone in the area. Just like they will a bird feeder. They'll go through a neighborhood thinking if they get bird seed at your house, they'll go the entire neighborhood to see if they can find another home with the same thing. So we had one this spring doing that in Conway that we eventually ended up successfully trapping and relocating.
Yeah.
But they'll break into cars. They break into homes sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, that's when they become kind of dangerous.
Boy.
Yeah.
Of course, the wild turkeys. Is there another turkey season coming up to hunting season?
Yeah, there'll be a turkey season this fall again. They have it during the late fall, actually, mid to late fall, which would be good because they're everywhere. We have
I know.
We hunt. We have hunts spring and fall, which are good because we've got a really healthy population.
But I thought they were cutting back on the moose hunt this year.
They did. They cut the permits considerably because our population has really dropped.
Yeah.
And they're still trying to figure out why, if it's tick related or if it's due to the fact that the temperature and climates are changing. The habitat is changing. You know, again, we're moving more people in, so we're crowding these things. So, you know, we're losing that. And all of New England is losing population. And that's concerning because I remember as a kid not being able to see a moose in New Hampshire. And the hard work of some of the biologists that work for us brought those animals back, and I don't want to see us lose them. They're a great draw to tourists. They're a great thing for the state of New Hampshire.
Are they that close to being extinct?
Well, they're not close to extinct, Dick, but their numbers have reduced at a pretty rapid rate. And whenever a population experiences that, we try to get in front of it so they don't go extinct. So we're trying to get a handle. They're trying to get a handle on what's causing it and what can we do to change it. Or to slow that pattern down so that we can keep them. So they're working pretty steadily at it to find out what the issues are. So it's challenging. It's challenging to maintain a good wildlife population in the state and not interfere with people and their day-to-day life and how they want to live. You know, it's a balancing act, quite frankly. And the hunting seasons help us do that. To maintain
the deer too. I mean, the deer population, that's still holding up.
Still pretty good, yes. All over the state, we've got a really healthy deer herd, really good numbers of bears. Moose are really what we're suffering on now. So, yeah, and I'm confident that they'll be able to figure this out if they study it. You know, and they've done a lot of research, gathered a lot of data. They just haven't gotten together, I don't think, and analyzed it all. But that'll be coming soon.
Do you think they'll ever try to bring elk back into New Hampshire?
I don't believe so. No, I don't think we've got the habitat to support it. We had them here, you know, years and years ago.
What do they need to bring?
Well, they need wintering places. They're a unique animal and they travel great distances between their summer areas and their winter, and we just don't. You know, if you think about the state of New Hampshire, it would be difficult to have a pattern of wildlands that animals could do that on. You know, while we've got some vast pieces still in the North Country, down south we have very limited pieces of big woods, and that's really what they need. Plus, I think our warmer climate, and we are getting warmer for sure, there's no question.
Yeah.
I think the warmer climate affects a lot of this too. You know, it certainly does on moose, and elk would fall into that same category. So it would be hard to maintain a population, I think, of elk. Based on the way New Hampshire is today. Yeah, compared to where it was in the 1800s when they were here.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It would be neat to have them, but I think it would be a real challenge to be able to pull it off.
So the hunting season, you said, starts in September. Now, what's the first one? Is it
The first one that will begin on the first week of September will be bear season, and that will run through the month of September. And then our small game season opens up. Rabbits and birds opens up in October, 1st of October. And then it kind of rolls right through deer season into November and into December for deer season, all the different seasons for deer, bow and arrow, muzzleloader, and firearm. And it goes pretty strong right till the first week of December. So it's busy, very busy.
When you say birds, what are you talking about?
Grouse, rough grouse, and woodcock and migratory birds, ducks and geese. Yes,
Really?
yeah. Yeah, it's pretty popular throughout the state because of the Merrimack River flowage and the Connecticut River. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And we've got a good population that it migrates, but comes back in the fall, and it's a good steady population. We have a good hunt every year.
I have to ask a crazy question, a stupid question. What the heck is a grouse?
A grouse is a partridge.
Oh.
Remember the partridge? It's
Yeah,
a rough
partridge in
grouse.
the pantry.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's a big. Well, it's about twice the size of a pigeon, and it's a game bird native to New Hampshire, and they're a lot of fun to hunt. No, mostly in the North Country, Dick.
Really?
Yeah, mostly. Although there are some down here, the greater populations are up north. Yeah.
Partridge.
Partridge, yeah.
Or grouse.
And they call them rough grouse. Yeah.
Rough grouse.
Yeah,
Huh.
beautiful bird. Yeah.
And rabbits, is this just, because I thought they were going to try to bring back the white.
Well, they're working on
cottontail.
cottontails, but the other rabbits that we have a snowshoe hare that we have a good population of.
Really?
But they're studying, or there are ongoing projects now, federally funded ongoing projects for cottontail, to study about, kind of re-energizing that population and creating some habitats that will work for that. So, because that apparently, and I don't know a lot about it yet, Dick, but apparently their habitat needs are a bit complicated, and so we're trying to figure out where we can produce some of that will encourage those populations to grow on some of the lands that we own or maintain. The department does. So, the non-game part of our division of our agency, I don't think gets the credit, quite frankly, that it deserves. But it does a lot of work to bring back a lot of these animals and birds and insects that no one hunts, and that are beautiful and a value to the state. You know, the Concord blue butterfly here in
Oh,
Concord,
yes, yes.
they made leaps and bounds to regain that population because it was almost gone, and that's important. That's all part of the scheme of the grand cycle. So I think it's good that we have that. I think it's important that we maintain those populations. Yeah.
So what's the outlook, you think, for the winter? I mean, we had no snow much at all last year, and the North Country really suffered.
It did
financially. Up
Yeah,
there.
it did. I worry about 2 in a row like that. We don't very often. That doesn't very often happen, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I think financially it does hurt us all.
Well, the ski areas.
It does, and
They
people don't buy.
really-
They don't go to the restaurants. They don't buy the gasoline.
No.
There's a lot of related things there. And it draws, our winters up here, even though they're long and miserable, and the older I get, the more I dislike them.
Oh, I know.
They draw a lot of tourists up, though, Dick. If you go out
Yeah,
on
I
93
know.
and watch that traffic on Friday night, there's people coming from all
Oh,
over
yeah, I know.
to take advantage of the skiing or the snowmobiling up north, and it's important, I think, to get that snow cover,
Yeah.
which is what pulls folks up. So, yeah.
I mean, it was nice last year for us who scheduled like the parades and all that stuff
Oh, yeah.
from November through early December. But boy, when I started stretching into
Yeah.
January,
If you
and
don't
there's
get
no
it by
ice,
January, that's bad, yeah.
and
And
there's
then I
no
worry,
ice.
it concerns me about safety because people love to ice fish and they'll go out when there's
Oh
thin
yeah,
ice.
I know.
So I like those cold winters when you have 3 or 4 feet of ice and you don't need to be concerned about that.
Or drive the cars
Vehicles
out there.
out, yeah.
How stupid.
Very dangerous.
Or the snow,
Yeah.
the bob houses out there. And
Yeah,
it's like,
very
How
dangerous.
stupid.
Yeah.
You know.
If you get 3 feet of ice, a couple of feet of ice, it's not a bad thing. It's probably safe, but boy, you got to have a lot of ice when you start, especially driving a vehicle. It's just, that's just the water is too unpredictable. You can have 3 feet here and drive, a quarter of a mile across the lake or less, and suddenly hit a spring hole with an inch of ice, and there's no warning for that until you go through. So,
Well, even with, oh dear, Winnipesaukee last year, that never froze.
It never froze.
Never froze over.
yeah, And they had the derby up there, the ice fishing
Yeah.
derby, which
Oh,
really
yeah.
scared me. We knock on wood, we were very lucky. So
I'm not sure about Winnisquam, but if Winnipesaukee didn't freeze over all the way, I'm sure they didn't either.
no, I'm sure that all of them didn't. There were a number of bigger lakes that didn't lock up completely tight. They had some ice, but they didn't freeze completely.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference. You know, if people are out on it, that's a concern. So
You know, we're kind of now in a way back to the summer season or what's left of it, but we're seeing a lot of cases where cars are being driven into the rivers and stuff like that. Do you get involved in that? Do you have to, or what?
the only time we're charged for charged legislatively for the recovery of people,
Yeah.
rescue of people, but not for the cars. Typically, we will turn that over. We'll get folks out of it if there's victims in there. We will go down. We have a dive team, of course. That in fact we're the only ones that have a dive team in the state, besides a couple of municipalities. So we'll arrive to find people and bring them out. But
Yeah.
getting the actual car out or any of that, the Department of Environmental Services actually is the lead agency on that, and they're pretty strict on it. Leaving a car or vehicle in the water and in fact, I was just thinking of that the other night when I watched on the news the helicopter.
Yes,
Did
I
you see
saw that. I
The
saw
little
that.
helicopter went down into the river, and that's a concern because if that fuel or the oils in there get into the water system, that can do a lot of damage. So, yeah. So actually, DES, Department of Environmental Services, takes care of that.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They do a super job doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got the search, like you were saying, the search and rescue up there in the mountains. And You're
Yes.
still getting that.
Constant. Yeah.
Now, what
it's
happens?
constant.
Are we actually charging them people or no?
We're charging some. We don't have a real great success rate in collecting that, Dick. I think we're at like 62% success in collecting it. We don't bill a lot of them. A lot of them are injuries, which people can't help. You know, they're hiking, they're tired, and they stumble and break an ankle or sprain their ankle, and
Yeah.
they can't put weight on it. We
Yeah.
charge the people that are reckless or careless, don't have any gear, which, believe it or not, there's a ton of people that still do that. Don't even have a pack on, and they'll strike off on a 2-mile hike, you know. And you've got to bring water, you've got to bring, you should bring a map, you should bring a change of clothes, a good jacket. Because all these conditions above tree line change. You know, you can get in 30, 40, 50 mile per hour winds on a sunny day, and that can suddenly be cold. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
and people don't realize that. So when we get people like that aren't prepared or irresponsible, we will bill them for that. But the Hike Safe card that the legislature gave us the ability to start using has brought in some revenue. It hasn't filled that void, but it's helped. It's helped. So, and that's the voluntary card that hikers can buy, and their purchase contributes to the cost of rescue missions, and it prevents folks from being billed.
Yeah.
So if you had a $25 single person Hike Safe card and you got into trouble on a mountain, you could save yourself thousands of dollars from being billed if you had that card. So it's a cheap insurance card, but it's a good investment.
I was thinking that you had to notify the ranger station when you were going to go hiking up those trails. and
Not
stuff.
always. There's a sign-in box in Cannon when you're going to climb the rocks, but there's no requirement. You know, we encourage people to sign in, but not everybody does that. So, but reporting, I got to tell you, Dick, reporting isn't a problem because everybody has family or friends. They don't show up for work on Monday and they call us.
Yeah.
It's more of getting people to bring more than just their cell phone to hike with. You know, the cell phone's a great tool, but
There's no service up there.
no, and the battery goes bad very very quickly if it's extremely cold, and it doesn't give you an extra coat. You can't eat it, you can't drink it. You know, those are all things that you need to have with you. So, the phone is a great added piece to that. I think, you know, if you need help, you can call. You can use the internet for all kinds of things if you have service, but you can't. We encourage people just to remember the basic fundamentals of surviving outside in New England. And that's having a few extra clothing and a match or a lighter to light a fire, you know, just simple things.
Yeah.
It's not a lot, but
No.
it's something that will save your life or could save your life. So that's key. But we do a lot of rescues. We'll get we're averaging 3 or 4 calls, 5 calls a weekend.
Really?
So, yeah, there's a lot of people coming up and hiking, taking advantage, which is good, taking advantage of our beautiful trail systems that we have. So,
And of course, then the foliage season, of course, that's another
That's coming,
draw.
and I'm wondering. I'm concerned that we're not going to have a great one with the drought.
Well,
That's certainly going to affect the leaves and their ability to change colors, and that's not going to help us either as a state, because again, that's a big draw.
I saw the other day a couple trees here in this area that were started to change colors. And I said, "Oh my goodness, that's early."
Yeah.
But you're right. If it's a dry season, I don't see why in the world that we'd have a good one, because
I think it's going to be bad.
they say it has usually have to have a good rain or good.
Yeah.
To have
Yeah, the good news is you get. I was talking to someone at the office the other day. The insect population suffers, which is not a bad thing, but you lose the leaves, and you have people rationing water, and so there's a lot of downsides to it too. So, but yeah, I'm sure the foliage is going to be affected by it.
I'm surprised that we haven't been put into a water rationing or something, because they say we're in a severe drought in this area.
Yeah.
Merrimack and Hillsborough and Rockingham and Stratford are all in a severe drought. Haven't heard too much about water bans yet on cars and that stuff. You think they would be?
I know. I expected you all to have one. Rockingham has had them. They've had them and then let them relax, but well, I don't think Concord's had anything.
No, not that I've heard anyway.
I was surprised. Yeah.
I am too. I really am, because the levels are way down.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. When you don't get the rain, it doesn't take long for that to drop.
So your department, you got 43. You said.
Yes. Yeah.
You're down. Are you down?
We are. We're down. We're down at least five people historically.
Wow.
We really reached a point where 50 officers in the state is not excessive, and we really need that. And but it comes down to budgetary concerns. You know, the money's tight everywhere, and we're no different.
But I was thinking, if I remember right, that Fish and Game was self-supporting though.
It is. The problem is with licenses, the reduction in licenses because people aren't hunting, or there's other things that are taking their interest in a ever rising cost of running a business like this. You know, gasoline goes up every year, uniform costs, benefits, payroll, all of those things increase, and the income doesn't stay with it, doesn't increase at the same level. So it creates, you know, like every state agency, it creates some funding challenges basically.
Oh.
So, and we face that every year. In fact, we're working on that currently. We're building the budget now for this next fall.
Really?
Yeah. That the legislature will see. So I think that'll be your first order of business if you get back in there. Will be the budget.
Yeah.
You know, it usually is. So.
Really? Again?
Yeah. Again.
This early?
Yeah. Yeah. We're building 18-19 now. Yeah.
For
I normally do it about a full year out, I believe, if memory serves me, before you need it. It takes that long to get through that process. You know?
Oh, I know.
It's a complicated process.
Huh.
Yeah. Very complicated deal to put it together, and then to have everyone sit across the river over there at the legislature sit down and analyze it all. It's a big job. Yeah.
I don't know. You know, it's funny because the state elections this year have been very quiet. We haven't heard a lot as far as the governor's race, congressional senate, but the governors, even the executive council races, or state senate, they've all been quiet.
They have been, yeah. It's been it's been relatively.
It's all been the presidential one or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And the primary's coming, so it won't be. You know, that should quiet it down even more. Maybe it won't, though. Maybe that'll energize people to come out. You know.
Well, I think to the cost of the advertising is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, for a TV ad and all that stuff.
Yeah.
My gosh, can you imagine the amount of money they're spending on that stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a huge investment of time and money.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, to do it.
Now you do the hunter safety courses for kids.
We do.
Too?
Yeah. Do it for kids and young adults and adults. Actually, it's open to everybody. Yes.
Have you got many starting up this fall?
Yeah, we got a bunch. Actually, this is the season. We've had some already in the month of August. They actually get started in August. They'll be full strength by September, and people can take them online now. They've set it up so we can take it online, which has streamlined it quite a bit. But you still have to do a range day where you come out and demonstrate your ability to handle a firearm safely and correctly. but that'll start. Those come about the steadiest in September, and then the first by mid-October we're done with those for this year for the most part, and then they start again in the winter months. So they run them year round.
Is there any age limit there for the kids to be handling guns? And
No,
stuff
they
like
can
that?
handle them at any age. Basically, we tell kids, we mandate they can't hunt by themselves. They have to be with a licensed adult.
Yeah.
And you would want to be with a child with a firearm. You know, you would want a licensed adult there. But up until the age of 16, they can do it with a licensed adult. And then from 16 to adulthood, they can buy a license and go on their own. And a lot of them do that. You know, that's a popular thing. And hopefully, if they've gone through the hunter safety and they've done all the, you know, and they've had some experience in the field, by the time they're 16, they're pretty safe hunters. We don't have, knock on wood, we're very fortunate with a very low accident or incident rate in the state for hunting and fishing.
Really?
It's been deemed a pretty safe activity, believe it or not. And I think a lot of that has to do with these safety programs and training kids the right way to handle this stuff. So, because it could be a nightmare if you didn't do that. There are states that have double-digit deaths, and we go years and years and years and don't have any.
Really?
So, which is good. And then, you know, then you'll have a bad year where you have one, and one is too many. But
Oh yeah.
you know, we've been very lucky, very, very lucky.
Because it does. I just can't fathom a 8-year-old or a 10-year-old with a rifle or shotgun.
know,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, I just can't fathom.
Well, they've got to have I mean, it works, but you've got to have supervision there. You got to make sure that they understand what they're holding and what their capability
know.
is. And if you've got an adult there, my experience has been the other nice thing about that, especially in today's world, anything that you can do with kids, young kids, to distract them from some of the things we don't want them doing, the drugs and you know, all these other temptations that are right there waiting for them.
Yeah.
If you can get them, you know, steer them off in a different direction, like hunting or fishing, it's going to benefit us all. So I think it's key to make these kids understand there's a whole world out there outside of the Game Boys and the programs on TV. You know, the games that they play, to get outside and enjoy the resources in the state, because it's a beautiful state. They're very lucky to be here. So. And that hunting helps distract that. It helps. It's just like sports, high school sports works the same way.
Really?
You know, it builds that team effort and gives kids something good to look forward to and to strive to do, and keeps them out of trouble. You know, it works very well.
I know I've been getting a lot of questionnaires as a candidate for about guns and things. And, oh,
Really?
Boy.
A lot of interest.
Oh yes.
There's a lot of interest one way or the other in where that's going to go.
And of course, it's about the Second Amendment.
Oh yeah.
About how kids, especially kids, should be handling them and all this. And
There's some really passionate
assault
beliefs.
weapons. Yes, there are.
About what's good and what isn't. Absolutely.
It's funny how life has changed from when I was a kid.
It has, yeah.
Never even thought of that stuff.
No.
And now that's all we do.
Now, that's right. Well, and television does that too, I think. Television has a tendency to give it all a very bad name. So.
And movies.
Yeah, and movies, that's correct. Yeah, both, yeah.
Well, we're coming to a close around town. We've been having a real interesting talk with Col.Kevin Jordan from the New Hampshire Fishing Game. And if you have any questions about the hunting season, hunter safety, or whatever, please give him and his office a call over there at the Fishing Game, and he'll be glad to answer the questions and keep it safe for you as you go out in the woods hunting or whatever. So, with that in mind, thank you so much for coming in today
for inviting me,
and
Dick.
bailing me out.
No,
and,
not a problem. No,
well,
glad to do it.
It's good because it's always things change. So.
Yeah, good.
So with that in mind, you have a great day, great week, and great safety season. And,
that's right.
We'll look forward to seeing you soon at the State House.
All right, I'll be there.
All
Thanks,
right.
Dick.
Have a great day. Thanks to my director, Ian, and we'll see you soon on Around Town.